Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the state of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to be taking a look at what they could potentially do this offseason, so we're going to take a look at that today. If you guys like this video, want to see more videos like it, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Alright, so I'm putting on my armchair GM hat today, as we are going to be going over the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you're Brad Treliving, what are you trying to do this offseason? So there's really, I would say, three things I would look to address. First thing, finding a way to move one of Marner or Tavares, or both. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if they move either of them. With the way the direction of this offseason has been treated, they let go of Sheldon Keefe, but they keep Brendan Shanahan. So what is kind of the direction here? Now, it's hard to tell because they don't know who the next head coach is. And I would assume they would want the next head coach to have some say on what kind of players they're scouting for and trading for, and also who are they willing to let go of. So, hypotheticals here. That is the entirety of this video. We're going to start off with Mitch Marner going to Utah, because that seems to be one everybody keeps saying online. I know my Leafs fans are out there. They keep saying, listen, this kid better learn Mormonese because he's going to Utah. So let's just go with that. Let's go with that hypothetical, and let's try and find a way to trade Mitch Marner to Utah. So right off the bat, let's start off with one of the highest cap hits on the team. I know I shouldn't laugh, but you guys understand. So there's Mitch Marner. Now, what does Arizona have that the Leafs would want? Now, the first thing you're probably looking at on that board is, holy hell, look at all those draft picks that the Arizona Coyotes have. And you're right. But let's be honest, is that something that the Leafs actually want? Probably not. And to be honest, I don't know if Utah is willing to trade all those assets and prospects and picks for Mitch Marner. But we can live in the world of should and would, and maybe they are, and maybe they aren't. We don't know what's going on in the situation with Arizona right now. So let's just go with Bill Armstrong willing to trade those picks. The Utah ownership says, listen, we want to be competitive, we want to win, and if it means trading those draft picks, trade those damn draft picks. So let's just do it for fun. So they have their first round pick this year. This is a situation where that might have to come into play. Now that is a top 10 pick right there. So that is a situation where the Leafs could potentially get a top 10 draft pick. I don't think it's likely, but it is a possibility. I just think Arizona is going to keep that. I think they're going to want their first player to pick here. I think Utah is going to want to go to the, go up to the stand, make their selection for their first, player in this and that. I think they're going to want to do that. So I don't think that pick is available. So let's just say next year's pick, 2025 first round pick. And let's just say the Leafs want their second round pick back. So let's say you get the second round pick, okay? Now, what realistically does Arizona have that the Leafs would even want? And that's kind of the thing here, because, I look at Lawson Crouse. I really love Lawson Crouse. Is that a guy that fits? He's kind of expensive at $3 million, but he has a lot of term on him, and if he plays in the top six for $3 million, maybe that's not too bad. There's also the other alternative. Listen, we know how good Alex Kerfoot played on the Leafs in the past. Do the Leafs try to bring back a guy like Alexander Kerfoot? I think that is a possibility. I think that's a guy that could fit really nicely on this team. And again, he has experience playing with them in the past. Maybe that's a direction they're willing to go. Now, listen, Arizona's not willing to trade 2 first-round picks here. I would say Matias Maccelli is available here. I know he just signed an extension there, but he got 60 points in 82 games last year. He's a pretty good hockey player. Yeah, you'd like to see more scoring there, but he's a young, up-and-coming player for 3 more years at $2.2 million. That's hard to pass up on. And, this kind of worked out really nicely here, but Karel Vejmelka is also right there. Now, I know he didn't have a great save percentage last season, but he has been a very good goalie in the past. It's kind of ironic that all three of these players happen to be next to each other, but there's ways, we'll get into in a second, there's ways you could find other players available here. Barrett Hayden, I know his numbers don't look great. He only played 33 games, but he really turned it on at the end of the season. Are you looking at what he's done over his career, or are you looking at his long-term potential? That's part of the equation here, but that's something to look at. You might be saying to yourself, well, we definitely want Logan Cooley or Josh Doan or one of those guys. I don't see the Coyotes trading any of these. Cooley, Doan, Geeky, Lamoureux, I think all of those guys are off the table. And if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't want those guys anyway. We don't want prospects. We want guys that can come into the lineup on opening night in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena in October. They aren't worried about the young guys right now. Now, as much as, yes, I think they would love to have a Connor Geeky or a Logan Cooley in the system, they're trying to win right now. And it doesn't make sense. And somebody said this in one of my last videos about the Leafs, because I said maybe trading Nick Robertson. You guys said that's probably not a good idea because you want guys on their entry-level contracts that can be productive in the lineup because you have such that the huge amount of money spent on your higher-end guys, you need guys very cheap that can be productive. And that is very true. And I kind of take back what I said in that because I do think Robertson is part of the solution and not the problem, right? So in this event, you're kind of going into it with that mindset here, right? You're acquiring some younger players that have potential but aren't the core prospects on the Coyotes or Utah. And that's how you're going to get this deal done. And I think the Leafs fans are going to be humbled by if they get a trade for Mitch Marner, it's probably not going to be the deal that they like. Because I think in all honesty, he isn't really worth that contract right now. And I think teams will be kind of deterred from making a trade for a player like Marner because of his salary cap situation. And that's why I think this deal, yeah, it's something that I think Leaf fans would like more in the deal. But to be honest with you, I think they're getting the right players in the deal. It's not always about an equal exchange of value. As much as you would love that to be the case, this is a situation where the Leafs are still dumping a ton of money. I mean, look at that. Even bringing in Michelli, Kerfoot, and Vejmelka, that is around $9 million spent. That is still, almost $2 million less than one player in Mitch Marner. You're getting two guys in Kerfoot and Michelli that can play in your middle six, and in the event that you're having issues on the top line, they can jump to that top line and maybe play there a couple games. You're getting another goaltender. Yeah, he's not a proven goaltender, but you know what? Nobody's trading their proven goaltenders right now. Unless Jeremy Swayman is a UFA and the Leafs have the money to pony up to bring him in, the reality is the Leafs have to do kind of another Joseph Wall or another Freddie Anderson or whatever. This is the situation. Teams are not giving away their starting goaltenders because most teams now are trying to keep a tandem. They're trying to keep two. The Leafs just need one at this point. And Karel Vejmelka is in the right place at the right time. He's still young enough. He has some term on his deal, and he's not overly expensive. This is a situation the Leafs have to be willing to go with. And who knows? Maybe the Leafs' defense gets a little better under a better system. We've seen teams turn around very quickly because of a better defensive structure. So Vejmelka, with a better defensive structure in front of him, I think this team in Toronto is much more capable of being better defensively. And you throw in the first and second round pick next year, well, now the Leafs can go around, turn those picks into maybe another defenseman. And we'll get to that in a second. But this is the deal. Mitch Marner to Utah from Matthias Michelli, Alex Kerfoot, Karel Vejmelka, a 2025 first and second round pick. And ironically, one of those picks being Toronto's own. So I want to know what you guys think of that one because I assume Leaf fans are going to freak out about that. But you have to remember here that that salary that he is making is a deterrent. Even if it's for 1 year, it is a deterrent for teams. And a team like Utah they're basically taking a chance on Marner. As good of a player as he is during the regular season, the perception around Marner is not great. He is not a great PR piece right now. He's not the golden boy in Toronto. So that's part of it. You also have to consider, Marner does have a lot of leverage here. He has a full no movement clause, which means he is going to deter where he wants to go. So there might be a better trade somewhere that is offering more value, but the Leafs cannot make the trade because Marner doesn't sign off on it. So that is kind of where you kind of put yourself in a corner here, and that's the situation. It's not a bad thing. It's not like that's a bad trade, in my opinion. I think a lot of Leaf fans may be upset about that return, but it's realistic, okay? So now let's go to the next part. Let's say, hypothetically, you get that first and second round pick back next year from Arizona. what player could be available that you're looking at. Now, I'm actually looking at free agency because you're going to have $2 million saved in free agency here, and they do have a little bit of money to save here. Now, we've talked about it a little bit before, and this isn't a trade, but I just want to show you guys the player, and that is a defenseman. And that is, where is Brett Pesce? There he is, $4 million. So Brett Pesce, I really like Pesce. And the reason for that is Brett Pesce's the type of defenseman that could come in. He's a good skater. That's the type of player that could come in and really help out the Leafs blue line. And again, if you're going to have another young defenseman here, Brett Beatty, you're looking at a situation where I think if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, they don't have the money to re-sign him this summer. He might be walking in free agency. The Leafs might be able to make a deal where they could sign him. And if there's a situation where maybe they trade for his trading rights, let's say they gave Carolina their second round pick for his trading rights, well, they get early dibs on him, so they might be able to get him for less than his actual value. Now, the biggest issue with Brett Pesce, and a lot of people say it right now, is he's currently injured right now. He's not even playing for the Carolina Hurricanes in their playoff run, which A, means it's more likely that he doesn't return to Carolina, and B, also maybe lowers his value to the point where the Leafs, where his number and the Leafs number can come a little bit closer, and maybe he'll make a little bit less, but he's going to be someone that is a more attainable, realistic option for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, there are plenty of other defensemen that could be available in a trade. A lot of teams may be looking to dump some salary. I think it's one of those things, though, where if you're trading your first and second round pick, you're looking for a good top four defenseman there. And I think the Leafs would be able to get that in that Marner trade. So maybe you're not necessarily trading Marner straight up for a top pairing defenseman, but with the assets you acquire in that trade, you can also flip those assets to acquire someone of that caliber. And, I'm kind of torn on it because I think the whole Marner trade situation, it's going to be difficult. If the Leafs are really serious about trading Mitch Marner, that is not going to be an easy deal to execute. It's going to take a lot of pieces falling in the right place at the right time. But that is just my prediction. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of that? Because let's be honest, in that trade, you're acquiring some assets that are going to help you. And I think the Leafs have to learn the mentality of, yeah, you know what? Maybe we're not getting that signature piece back in the trade, right? Yes, it's Mitch Marner, but you know what? We've tried this before. We've done this before. And it all evens out. They need more depth on this team because you know what? The Marner that they got in the playoffs this year, I would rather have those other assets because of the production he provided really didn't make it worth it. So I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm sure there will be tons of hate for it, but I'm hoping you guys understand. Hopefully I defended my point enough to the point where you guys could say, yeah, you know what? I'm not happy with that return. I don't think the Leafs are going to be happy with that return, but it's something I can live with and understand the situation around it. And we look at the many trades around the league, right? Remember when Jacob Chikrin, all this hype about teams getting high-end prospects and this and that for this guy and that guy and that guy, and they got very much less than that at the end of the day. And Coyotes fans were upset, but the value just wasn't there. When it came to pushing the button to make the trade, teams weren't willing to do that. And that's ultimately what lowered the value here. So the Leafs got to be careful with that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys again next time. Peace out.